Hello, everybody. So today we're going to be discussing cognitive behavioral therapy. In order to understand this process, we have to get ourselves out of what we call olam hazeh, this world, and we have to disconnect ourselves from what we're used to typically thinking. Every situation, we're trained, we're like robots, we're trained to think a certain way when a certain situation happens. And there's something that Rav Zev Brown, who's a PhD, discusses in a psychological approach called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which really covers three different aspects. The first one being emotions. It's about how we feel and how what we feel affects how we think and act. Second, thoughts, as to what we think and how it affects how we actually act. And the third, behavior. Behavior is what we do and how we think and act based on the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. So they all intertwine together, they all work together somehow. And essentially, it's all about how we're going to perceive a situation that we're in order to deal with each of those aspects. So there's an example that comes in into us every day and that we deal with every day. For example, every time something that happens bad to us, we're always questioning immediately that there's something bad about that situation that happened, and we look at the negative aspect. I mean, it's very hard to look at the positive aspect all the time from these situations and see just maybe there's something good out of it, and maybe, it's not so bad after all. An example is if you were to be, God forbid, somebody were to bump you, you're driving and boom, you get hit in the back of your car. You come outside, what's the first reaction is, what are you doing? Imagine you weren't even moving. You're at the stop sign, at the light, which happened to me actually, and the car behind you just boom. You're so confused, you come outside. The first normal reaction is yelling at the guy, you idiot, why would you do such a thing? Why you ruined my car? Why would you hit the gas when you're driving? That's our initial reaction. Now imagine that there was this situation where the person behind you is going to be doing a little game and saying, hey, look, imagine he inherited $30 million, and with all this money that he inherits, he says, you know what, I'm going to just randomly hit someone, and I'm going to give him $1 million from that $30 million, depending if he gets mad at me or if he gives me a hug and gives me love and shows me compassion and tries to understand what happened. If you knew this ahead of time and you knew that in that situation you were going to get paid $1 million if you just kept your mouth shut, smiled, came outside, looked around, thank God you're safe, and would go to that person and be like, what's going on? What can you please explain? Is everything okay? Are you okay? Right? Looking out for the other person. Are you safe? I'm safe. Are you safe? Is everything okay? So you would obviously react very different if there was some monetary compensation or some other compensation involved. Would you actually act that way? That's the question. And if you act that way, that's one of the steps and one of the levels to getting to trusting God. And then if you apply this concept and you tell yourself that essentially everything that happens, don't worry, it's okay. Maybe there's a reward, or maybe there's going to be some positive or compensation or some positive outcome of all this. You literally will find yourself eliminating all causes of stress, depression, anxiety. Because everything that goes wrong in your day, you're essentially going to look at it into a positive way and say, wow, okay, this is not so bad after all. This is an approach that if you look at the concept itself, it's not the action of getting bumped with your car that is the negative part here, that is the problem here. It's how you perceive the situation that can make it negative, because the act itself may not be a problem. So the take-home message is in every situation that happens, remind yourself and ask yourself actually how you would imagine dealing with it if there was a fortune for dealing with it in a positive manner. Shabbat Shalom. Have a great day.